Good evening. Tempe Union continues to maintain social distancing for the safety of our community. The open meeting law permits a public body to hold a remote meeting through technological means and implement procedures designed to safeguard the public's access to the meeting. We are streaming this meeting live on the district's YouTube channel. Reconvening this meeting for our study session. Right, Dr. Mendeville, take it away.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, and members of the board, executive team members, and our viewing and listening audience. I appreciate you taking the time with us. Right now, I'm going to be sharing my goal number 2 for this school year, and it's something that I'm actually looking forward to for a variety of reasons, and I'll go into that when I begin. So the purpose of the study session is to address this and to study a little bit more, and so the governing board members can ask me particular questions around this goal. So I appreciate you for taking this time with me. My goal number 2 is setting up a Superintendent Family Parent Advisory Council. And as part of, our teachers have performance goals, and we all have goals that we set for ourselves, and the statute also requires that superintendents establish goals to some degree, and the way we have positioned this in the district, it's worked well for the goals that I set for myself that impact our students, our employees, and our families. And so this is my goal number 2, that prior to the end of this school year, that we would I would present to you in a public meeting a framework that outlines the Parent Family Advisory Council, and I'm going to be sharing some of that with you this evening. I always like to make sure that my goals and all of that we do, the good work that we do in the district, is aligned with our district's strategic plan, but also with our core values and beliefs. This particular goal is a direct alignment with goal number 4. We will create and nurture partnerships with the community to support students and staff. And that's an area, I will honestly admit, that in a high school only setting is even more difficult, but it's certainly something that we need to work on continuously. At the elementary level, there's probably stronger and just natural partnerships with families because the kids are younger and they're cuter, they get bigger, and we think that they don't need our support at our schools, when in fact they probably need more support. It's just a different kind of support. So objective A, along with strategic 4, is that we will expand communication strategies to inform stakeholders, promote involvement, and celebrate success. And B, collaborating with the community to identify opportunities and certainly look for resources to meet the educational and social emotional needs of students and staff. So goal number 4, the goal lead person in the district on the executive team is Megan Sterling, and I'll talk about Megan a little bit later when we get to the end of the presentation. But it's critical to understand that we're in alignment with our district strategic plan. Our core values say about family, community, and business partnerships, but family and community are what we're talking about tonight. We pursue a strong and active relationship with families and the community to meet the social, emotional, and the academic needs of our students. So again, making sure there's a direct alignment with our district strategic plan along with our core values and beliefs. A key focus for any outstanding school system is that you prioritize improving learning outcomes for all our students. And I believe having this this Family Parent Advisory Council that I work with on a regular basis is going to help us to realize improved learning outcomes for all students as we solicit their support. So the purpose and then true intent is just to meet with me and other district leaders as appropriate, but to find ways that the schools, our schools and school district can provide a welcoming environment to all our families and develop strong homeschool partnerships. we need our families, we need our they're champions of their children, and together we can accomplish a lot more when we know who they are and they're working with us on a regular basis. But that's the key thing, especially with a high school only district, that we find those ways that we can provide welcoming environments, and that's something that we're going to key focus for student engagement, student attendance. There's a lot of benefit to that. Discuss a variety of topics, share information, and broaden understanding of school-related issues. And what I've learned these past 3 years is that we take things for granted that our public, our families understand the work that we do, and we probably need to do a better job and in just informing with how some of the structures and the operations of the district are, their school-related issues and how things work. We're a large organization, and there's a lot of moving parts, and when you're dealing with human beings, that creates another layer of opportunity and challenge. But so ways where we can just share the good work that we do and promote the active participation of our families and community members in the achievement and well-being of all our students. Again, achievement and well-being. So looking at goals, you know, the Tempe Union High School District, I recognize that family engagement, there's a lot of research out there as well, but it has a positive effect on student achievement. If families are involved in, they can be involved in a variety of ways, indirectly or directly, but that plays a positive impact on student achievement potentially, and is another strategy to look at closing achievement gaps that do exist within a variety of student groups. But the Family Parent Advisory Council, I want to promote and be an example of displaying respectful partnerships between our educators, you know, our teachers and our employees, administrators, and families, again, with the focus to support student learning and positive youth development at home, in school, and in the community. The intent would be to meet, you know, once a quarter or as needed. Meetings will be planned and facilitated by me, and I'm going to include appropriately so the Executive Director of Community Relations, Megan Sterling, and of course will involve executive team members, administrators, principals, and others as needed to participate as we share information and inform. A lot of research on this, tons of research on the benefits of family engagement for student success, because I think having a family parent advisory council should focus strictly on student success, and that means the social emotional, all the outcomes that we have in an organization with a high school only experience. We want our kids to realize success, whatever that success might be for that student and for that family. But there's a lot of research on the positive impact of family engagement, and that's the focus that I want to have with this council, to look at ways in which we can improve and enhance the student engagement, family engagement of our families. One research that's not up there, but I have in front of me, it's from 2002, A New Wave of Evidence, Impact of School, Family, Community Connections on Student Achievement by Ann Henderson and Karen Mapp. One of many, as I mentioned. There's a positive and convincing relationship between family involvement and student success, regardless of race, ethnicity, class, or parents' level of education. To put it another way, when families are involved in their children's learning, both at home and at school, their children do better in school. The report also points to specific types of involvement as being especially beneficial to children's academic success. And this is the kind of information and research that I'd like to share with when the group is formed. So we have focus and priority around why we're doing what we're doing, because the research indicates that when we have strong family partnerships, we have happier kids, more involved kids, more successful kids. So the primary duties is to serve as an advisory, not a decision-making body, but an advisory one that provides to me recommendations and encourages brainstorming as I do typically, but and then look to find other opportunities for parent involvement and maybe parents to sit on task forces or committees at the district level or the site level. Actively participate in the process by listening and sharing information. Identify and recommend strategies to increase school-family partnerships at district and at the school level. And then, identify and recommend culturally appropriate practices to welcome and engage diverse families in all our schools. One of the celebrating, I think, qualities of Tempe Union High School District is the fact that we are such a diverse family of schools. And so it's my intent that we really look and look to our parent family representatives within the council and in other ways where we can reach all of our families. To be proactive and innovative in identifying and sharing ways to enhance the school system's communication. And we're always trying to improve ways where we can reach all of our families. And particularly in this pandemic year, it has proven to be quite a struggle. And so I think this is going to be a really unique way to listen and find ways where we can reach our students and our families in a more productive and efficient way. And assist and support school and district administrators' activities and efforts to engage parents and community members. When there's something that's going out at one school, can we replicate that at another and just support our sister schools, all 6 of our comprehensive high schools. And then commit, while this is a very simple sentence, but it really is what we all are trying to do in all our respective roles, and that is to pursue the interests of every student in the Tempe Union High School District, make that commitment. And I wanted to share a little bit about the guiding principles on transformative family engagement because for me, this spoke to me as I did a lot of research on this, but having a transformative mindset with family engagement it's a shared effort, and that's the piece that's critical. We have to share our students, we have to share that responsibility to ensure that the experiences that they have while they're with us are meaningful, that they're learning at high levels, that they're happy. We take that for granted, but having students have wonderful, engaging, and connected experiences, ultimately our students are going to be happier and we will realize the favorable outcomes as a result of that. But with the transformative family engagement, there's 4 I's there: inclusive, individualized, integrated, and impactful. And they spoke to me more on the side of our core values and beliefs, because when we talk about inclusivity, we want to embrace and value the diverse perspectives of all of our families, and looking at the individualized needs of our families and every child, every student. And then the integrated piece spoke to me because we have to connect and align with our educational system. Part of making that connection with our educational system is to understand the work that we do on behalf of all of our students. And then having it be impactful and by empowering families to support their students' success, their child's success. So we want them to embrace really the power and the impact that they have as families to ultimately benefit our students. So our next phase is on the nomination and application process. We will have a little bit more formality to this process, and I think we need to do that, and I'll explain that. But I'll be sharing the nomination application process in August with site councils and on the district website. 3 representatives from each of the 6 comprehensive high schools. I'm going to go back to the previous bullet just because I think I say it in another comment, but the application process is just that. There will be an application with questions, 3 specific questions that I want to solicit more input from our families to determine where their goals are in meeting some of the priorities that we've set forth in representing and to benefiting all students, learning all our students' experiences, and looking at as a priority, how are we going to impact favorable student outcomes for all our students. What are you going to bring to the table, in other words? Review of the applications I want to include with our principals, since they know many of the likely nominations that will come forward in the application process. I expect and want a representation of our TUHSD community. If we can get all this done, and we will, not an if, we will get all this done and have our first meeting in late September. So the criteria that you want to use right now and for the selection of members, I mentioned this in a different way, but broad representation of our Tempe Union High School District community. That's important, you know, from our neighbors in the Guadalupe community to our open enrolled students who, while they may not necessarily be in our district boundaries, they are Tempe Union High School District students. So students within the Baseline Corridor, the Maricopa area, those areas that encompass and represent our TUHSD community. Again, highlighting the geographic location of residents, students' grade level, that we have a fair representation of families with freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Areas of interest and experience, which is part of the one question that I referenced earlier. You know, it would be nice to have parents, families who have experience in a variety of programming that the district has to offer and that they've experienced, but not limited to just special education, gifted, or English language. Because we have a lot of programs, from the fine arts to you know, the sports. There's a whole lot there, and so we want to get a nice sample from our families in terms of their interest and actual experience. And I've said this again in a different way, that the membership will reflect the racial and ethnic diversity that is Tempe Union High School District, our students. Next steps. Part of any successful committee is that you establish norms and guidelines that are in alignment with our core values and beliefs of the district. That will be my expectation, that when we come together, we will act and listen intently to the others' interests and beliefs and honor that. But we will be respectful and kind with our words. That is an expectation of mine. So we'll work on those norms of how we want to conduct ourselves as a large committee, because when you're talking about 18 to 20 family members, that can be a big family gathering. Then I'd like to introduce, to see where there might be usefulness, the standards for family school partnerships with the National Parent Teacher Association. And they have, I really do, that creates some foundational conversations to really refine some of the focus for our group, because it's the standards for family school partnerships are grounded in a lot of really good research. Provide key information about Tempe Union High School District to all the council members once they're selected. Just give them some strong basics, like our demographics, how large of a boundary area that we have in our backyards, the operational processes, just a variety of just key information. I don't want to overwhelm, but I want to give some foundational pieces of information for our families to get a broad perspective of our district. And then inform on an upcoming district priorities, because we're going to have some right away of district priorities, and start getting them involved with some of the discussion and input. So that's the formal presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members, I'll start with Member Montero.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Mandeville, for the presentation. I think it's a really good group, and I think you set out the reasons why and kind of the goals that you have there. But I kind of wanted to ask, just out of curiosity, what would be some of the topics that you might bring up with this committee? If you were to hold a meeting recently, what are some of those initial conversations you would have with that committee?
Thank you, Member Montero. What I would do, I think we need to establish the norms and priorities and first before we can actually have discussions. So that may take a couple of meetings all by itself, because I don't want to waste anybody's time, because if someone is not going to be in agreement with how we conduct these meetings, then I want to be crystal clear what the next steps will be. But to answer your question, I think we'll get there. I want to use the National PTA Standards of Family School Partnerships to focus our conversations around student outcomes. How can we, provide intervention and support for our families? How do we reach our families? Communication's a big deal right now. What are the best ways that they know how to best communicate with their, families in their communities? It's really going to be, reaching out to see, because I think communication is a critical piece. The other thing is I think at some point in the meetings, when we have more of a comfort level and a firm understanding of the norms of the committee, then I think I would open it up to, okay, what are some things that might be of it, but again, focused on student outcomes, student outcomes, student outcomes. Now, that's not to say that if some event happens or there's something going on at a school, that we can't have time to discuss that as well. And so that's one of the norms, if you will, when we have a meeting structure. We would have an agenda of the items, who might be from executive team or from district office or site that would be present, and have maybe some informal time before we do formal business. Does that make sense? I'm real critical to focusing our attention, our discussion, our time, our efforts around how are we going to improve student outcomes for the students who attend and our families who attend our district.
Member James.
Thank you. I really appreciate this presentation. I'm wondering, we have site councils at each school, right? So are you going to collaborate with those at all to kind of check in to see how maybe the information you're gathering in your committee lines up with different sites, or?
Yeah, Member James, that's a great question. So part of, I think, what I included there is to spend some time explaining the process with each of the site councils and getting to meet the current site councils. And I think the schools are establishing those for next year. They probably have some sitting members that maybe some are leaving, but they're going to be confirming those site council members in the next month or two. I want to meet with them, and again, the work that site councils do at the school site should all be primarily focused on, okay, how are we improving student outcomes for our kids? As simple as that sounds, I don't want to get distracted from that, but I'm anticipating that probably some of our members that might be nominated or apply for this particular advisory council will be site member councils as well.
Yeah, I just think that sounds like it could be helpful to
so
bring.
It's a good line of communication.
Right.
The other piece to take off on that is that and that's why I want their input on the final selection. So we know that the members who will be selected have a reliable way in which they can communicate messaging and information out because they will have privilege actually to some information that just having the knowledge of operational practices, priorities of the district, getting a broader sense of the work that we all do, and that includes you guys, you know, the work we all do, and I mean all of us. So.
And then the applications, are you going to have those provided in Spanish as well to reach our Spanish-speaking community? And how are you going to
Absolutely,
try to get that involvement?
Yeah, I want the application not too complicated, but I want it, there's really 3 particular questions that I'm formulating right now. But one is going to be, you know, basically to summarize, what do you bring to the table? How are we, what are your experiences, your passion with Tempe Union? How can you be helpful with this advisory body to the superintendent? And I want them to be able to articulate that and write that, you know. But yeah, I want to be able to, we'll have all that.
Thank you.
Vice President Morales.
I appreciate the formulation of this committee. I think it'll help communication with the community and with the district, and be able to focus in on what each school site is interested in and what they feel is important. I'm going to give you homework, like my business professors and my teachers in the high school district. One thing that I feel you left out that you couldn't submit is the mission statement. I think every one of these organizations ought to have a mission statement. You know, that way they can focus in, it'll give the group an idea, at least a pool of ideas in which they can focus around. And then you can create clear and concise goals, is what I think, because I would like to see a lot of, emphasis on like the feedback in this community. And I think this is a way to do it. I think you're on the right track. But I think the mission statement, you creating that, you know, for the group too, because you can always pose it to them, but I think it gets messy. But, you know, just to make sure they understand what you want. But that was just more or less a comment. For me, I'm just curious, last time we talked about this, I was kind of juggling the idea whether, if each site's getting representation, with Compadre moving to Marcos de Niza, and being its own entity, shouldn't they get representation? And then I had pros and cons, and you said, well, leave it up to, you know, your fellow board members and see what their thoughts are on that issue. So I'm just bringing that up more or less. Should there be representation in terms of Compadre, considering that Marcos may not understand their culture and Compadre is not going to understand Marcos' culture. They're 2 separate school models, in my opinion. But and they're working things out. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but what are they? And then I guess I'd want to hear from my board members.
You know, I gave a range. I mean, we have 6 comprehensive high schools now. So we have 18, but I'm leaving room and of course being flexible for additional members if that's necessary. And I think there will be some need for that. As an example, if we're in a blurred line right now with transitioning, you know, Compadre over to the programming, because that's what it is. It's programming to Marcos. And so when I talk about the work that from an advisory perspective of this particular body, it is just that. How are we looking to find ways to engage families so that we have better outcomes for our students? And so the work that is the work of Compadre, that should be the work of all our other schools. So now when I broaden the open enrollment piece, because I think we have to have that flavor, that because they are our students, I think that naturally goes into having more representation for that student that is, you know, because I don't want to say a Compadre student, because we focus on the needs of all students. And so students who have that kind of need or specific greater needs are at all 6 of our comprehensive high schools. So I'm kind of answering you in a roundabout way, but I think we're going to get there naturally just with the applications that we receive. Because I'm going to be looking for, when that's why I put nominations. Well, I'll fix that later. Nominations, because I'm sure our principals are going to have nominations on parents that they're familiar with, and I want to include them in the review and selection of those family representatives. So I'm going to be mindful of that. I guess it's probably the easiest way to say that.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Manville. I'm looking forward to the Family Parent Council and excited to see what comes of it and how it can help the district as a whole. And I'm appreciative of how thoughtful and the information, and especially with including board members' thoughts and comments. And I know you'll be mindful of families that aren't necessarily engaged, right? And while I'm excited to see the folks, kind of go through the national standards, I just want to be mindful myself that majority of these folks are more active than your typical family, and knowing that with our principals, I encourage them to identify families that haven't had opportunities or chances to be engaged, or that have had barriers to engagement, because each family is so different. And meeting them where they are, with what Dr. Wilson and I have repeated and shared, I think is kind of the crux of it all. So I'm looking forward to how this moves forward.
Sometimes a family member just needs to be asked, and those are part of the discussions that I will have with our principals when we have our first meetings, start targeting. And I'm actually looking forward to making some personal requests myself. So yeah, I think your point is spot on, because that's the whole purpose of this council, is to identify families that have not typically been involved or engaged, and they might very well be in a different way, but how can we provide other ways in which to support their child, their student, while they're with us. And so again, together we're stronger on every angle, and particularly with this one, we have family support.
Thank you so much, Dr. Minerva. Member Hodge, do you have any thoughts, comments, or questions? All right. Any other board members? Vice President Barraza?
Yes, the last thing I'm just kind of interested in, it's more comment, is more or less if it's possible to potentially get 2 members of TSEA to be a part of this. I think it's great for them to be able to communicate the classroom dynamic in the conversation. And I think it'd also be great for them to understand what teachers, or what parents are dealing with, and what their concerns are directly. Prior to that, it's really just the emails and the individual one-on-one about the student. But I think there's both sides that can learn from each other. And under your direction, I think it'd be a very productive communication process that you'd be able to develop. And so I don't know, if that's, like how you picture it, but I just wanted to kind of include that and say, maybe there's potential and you can choose who you think would be well-rounded. I think SPED teachers can be beneficial to that conversation, as well as various fields. So I don't know if it's something to consider. But I just wanted to
Vice
put that in
President
place.
Barraza, that's a good point. I mean, it's something that I would like to ponder a little bit more and really think through that, because the whole intent of the superintendent, parent or family parent advisory council is that I have that time one-on-one with the families. And so, but to your point, the TSEA, the teacher representative, is on site with the site councils. So that's I think part of the part you're talking about too. So at the site level, we have our teachers, and many of whom are TSEA members, that are sitting on the site council with the principal, with other family members and that kind of thing. So let me see how that might fit in, if at all, to see if it's. I need to look at that a little bit more. But I do appreciate that point.
And ultimately, it's about making a productive model of communication for the community. And again, I think the way you formulate it would be beneficial to that conversation, and maybe provide that framework for continued conversation around maybe some tougher issues down the road. You know, right now, everything surrounding the metrics and requirements. But once we move forward beyond that, there's so much to consider. And I think it will be a group that will turn into a really strong force.
Just off the top of my head right now, just in thinking as you're speaking, I was thinking that maybe in some of the agenda items or discussions that we ask maybe a TSCA or teacher member to be part of a particular meeting discussion. So that's more focused and purposeful. They're in a lot of meetings anyway, and so, but I understand your point, and I think we can weave, and I think naturally weave in teacher input. Because again, I keep mentioning together we're stronger. If our teachers and everyone are on the same page of how are we finding ways to promote and increase authentic family engagement with the schools, with a priority in mind, with looking at improved student outcomes across the board for all kids, how can you go wrong? So so that when you talk about mission, well, I'm kind of saying the mission, but that is our focus. You know, that's it. And those are the kind of I'm looking forward to those discussions in our first initial meetings with the member of the committee, council. What am I calling it? Council.
I appreciate that. I know your plate is full, and creating this adds to it. So thank you for making it a part of your priority.
You're welcome.
Member Hodge?
Okay, now I have a question. Well, I just wanted to go back to what you said, Vice President Barraza. When Dr. Mendenville made these recommendations, I was still president. A lot of the parents would love to have time with just the superintendent without the teachers or anybody else involved in it. So I think that was one of the main topics that the parents kept coming out with, is that they don't have that voice that they can speak directly to him without it being all the district people. I get your point. I think there is times that we could have it, but I really want this, I really feel that the parents need to have that chance to talk to the superintendent without other staff there. So just in case if is a situation they don't want, what if it is about a school or a teacher or something, they can feel comfortable bringing it back without having to sit in there with one of the teachers. And it's not that we don't want their input, we just want the parents to feel like they can be heard by themselves in that scenario. So that's what I got when they were writing me about it.
I don't have a comment.
All right. Any other comments, thoughts, or questions? No? All right, then I will recess this study session in this meeting, and we reconvene at 7 p.m. for our regular meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. I'm reconvening this meeting at 7:00 p.m. Good evening. Tempe Union continues to maintain social distancing for the safety of our community. The open meeting law permits a public body to hold a remote meeting through technological means and implement procedures designed to safeguard the public's access to the meeting. We are streaming this meeting live on the district's YouTube channel. I want to welcome everyone, but I will pass it on to Board Member Hodge for our welcome.
Thank you, President Garcia. Excuse me, I was going to say Vice President Barraza. I apologize. I just want to thank everybody today, and I want to celebrate with everyone today. Actually, and today was the day that Juneteenth was signed into legislation that it's going to become a national holiday, and now it's waiting to go to the President Biden's desk. I'm very excited for that. We worked with Representative Bolding to get that passed here in Arizona. So it's just a big moment for me. I want to read a quote about Juneteenth given to me by our Associate Superintendent, Dr. Stacia Wilson. Words of emancipation didn't arrive until the middle of June, so they called it Juneteenth. So that was what it is, the night of Juneteenth celebration. His mind went on, the celebration of gravity of illusion. And that's by Ralph Epstein, and that's for Juneteenth. While Independence Day is a national celebrated holiday, as the day Americans equated with the freedom, not everyone became free that day. Black Americans remained enslaved for 82 years after June 4th, 1776. There is a long history of Juneteenth, including the Juneteenth flag, but to sum this thing up, Juneteenth celebrates the emancipation of the enslaved Black Americans. The day is meant to remember the hardship that Black Americans face, honor their achievements, serve them as reminders that the work is far from over. These Juneteenth quotes, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be reading that part, but thank you so much for giving me that to say. It's very important, I'm emotional because of what's happening today, so thank you guys for being here. I know I have a very supportive board, and I love you guys, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge, and thank you for sharing with us and starting off our meeting. All right. We will continue with the Pledge of Allegiance with Member Armando Montero, and then the land acknowledgement with Mr. Sean McDonald.
I pledge allegiance
Thank you.
Good evening. Tempe Union High School District acknowledges that our community of schools is located on the ancestral lands of the Akmal Otum Pima and the Pipash Maricopa, indigenous people who have inhabited these lands since the times immemorial. With this land acknowledgement, the district formally recognizes that the traditional care and keeping of these lands by indigenous peoples and allows us to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDonald. All right, we'll continue on with the report from our superintendent. I'm really excited about this piece. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board, and our viewing and listening audience and executive team members. Another really cool thing, we've got some outstanding individuals here in our audience tonight to celebrate a recognition for the Corona del Sol Aztec Robotics Team 6479 to be specific. And first is a global robotics community advancing STEM education to prepare students for the future. For the first innovation challenge, robotics teams had to design a solution, create a business model, pitch the idea, and advance their skills by using technology. Aztec Robotics Team 6479 was inspired by the season's sports and fitness theme and built a device to aid special education students develop their motor skills. The result? being named one of 20 teams globally, not nationally, not statewide, but globally, to represent FIRST Robotics at the June 30th virtual Global Innovation Awards ceremony. Congratulations to robotics sponsor Steve Heiser. Steve, I'm going to ask you to probably come up and talk about your outstanding students, so start making your way up. Good to see you. And Brian Hawkins. And students, you might as well join them. Student team representatives, freshman Michelle Chen, juniors Tisha Shabra and Leo Wilson, and seniors Arvin Jha, Kelly Rains, and Aliyah Herndon. So, Mr. Heiser, tell us a little bit more.
Thank you so much for having us here today, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, Dr. Mendeville, members of the board, executive team. Definitely a pleasure to be here to talk about Aztec Robotics. We're a fifth-year robotics team out of Corona del Sol High School. This year has been challenging with COVID-19 and in school, out of school, doing things virtually, sometimes in person. And so we really focused in the fall on teaching students new skills. CAD, for example, computer-aided design, programming skills. We have a YouTube channel where the students are teaching programming skills to try to get people up to speed to help program a chassis in our robot, let's call it mechanisms. And so throughout the fall, the kids really focused on team growth. And when the challenge came out this year, 31 students were a part of Aztec Robotics. 35% were female, which is the highest proportion of female students that we've ever had in our 5-year history. Because competitions were unknown worldwide, they went with virtual competitions. So there were 3 different ways that the students could get involved with this year's competition. Basically, it was a continuation of the previous season that was truncated because of the global pandemic. We were able to actually compete in Del Mar as the last competition held. And there hasn't been any since. I think there's some off seasons right now. But kids were able to get involved in 3 different areas. One of them is a game design challenge. So we had part of our 31 kids get involved with the game design challenge. There were different aspects. There's a rule book, and they had to come up with a game design challenge. There was also an at-home challenge where students were part of a programming team, and they had the robot drive autonomously through different courses that were kind of charted through the competition, and it was timed, and we were given points. That team, I think, ranked 9th in their division. And then, of course, we have the Global Innovation Challenge, and that's why these folks are here today. And they came up with a really good product. I'm going to let them talk about it because it is truly amazing what they have come up with, being top 20 on the planet at this point. So I want to make sure that we thank Brian Hawkins here. He played a big part in the innovation team. He sat in on their meetings and listened and gave them really good feedback. So he played a huge part. He's the engineering teacher over at Corona del Sol. So I want to make sure he gets that recognition because he deserves it. And then we also have our team of students here. We have one student who was unable to make it. He's working tonight, and Corbin Tinnen would love to be a part of this. He played a big part in the CAD, and he designed everything 3-dimensionally and made some animated GIFs for our presentations. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn over to Tishia Chabra. She's our newly elected president, our first female president as part of Aztec Robotics. She's also a Dean's List finalist, so she could be one of 10 Dean's List winners on June 30th. So it's a pretty big deal. It's our first nominee for Corona del Sol and the district to make it this far. So I'm going to turn it over to Tishia Chabra.
Hi, thank you everyone for having us. So I'm Tishia, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about the product we've created. So I want to mention our district's physical therapist, Miss Amanda Renfro. We had a really good conversation with her at the beginning of this whole challenge, and that conversation led to our idea, the Swish Connect. So we realized after doing some research in our conversation with the physical therapist that there's a bit of a problem with special education students and motor skill mastery. There was an extensive study done that showed that most students who have special needs or are special education students, ages 12 to 20, only reach 55% mastery by the time they graduate high school. And motor skills are the kind of things that we're using all the time. We're using it to open doors or type on a computer. And so these are very important skills that we thought, hey, we should figure out a way to help therapists help these students get their skills up to a higher level of mastery so that daily life becomes easier and more comfortable. So what we've decided to make is an auto-adjusting basketball hoop, which is controlled by an app and then is also coupled with a website. So this auto-adjusting basketball hoop, we've got a great CAD that Corbin made all by himself. He's really cool for that. And if you look at it, you'll see that this hoop moves side to side to basically adjust and catch the basketball. And the app will control the hoop. So you can basically mount your device on the back of our backboard because it's transparent. And using object detection, using a library called OpenCV, will detect the ball and move the hoop to the position to catch the ball. And that app will also collect statistics, which will then be synced with our website, and the website will have a therapist and student dashboard. Now, the student dashboard, some notable features are progress tracking, so you can see how well you've been doing over your time with this hoop. And it'll also have badges to sort of motivate these students to continue using it and kind of add that gamification aspect. And then with a therapist, it's kind of a tool for them to continue using this hoop so they can also view progress. They can set goals for their students, and they can also view some recommended activities to build up certain motor skills. And there's also a last feature to this, which Ms. Renfro played a huge role in creating, which is this thing of a database of different activity breakdowns. So a lot of therapists, basically what they have to do is look at different everyday activities that are important, like, you know, buttoning up your jacket, right? That's an important activity we want a student to be able to do on their own. And then view the different skills that are involved in doing that activity, and then identify the skills that a student is struggling with, and then identify some activities to build up those lacking skills. And so that sounds like a very repetitive process, right? So we thought, why not automate it? So that's a feature that's on our therapist dashboard. So there's a lot going on with our product, and I'm super happy with how we've all been able to work on it. Our team has worked really well together, and being one of the top 20 finalists from 883 teams internationally has been really, really cool. And yeah, next Monday there'll be community voting that'll open, so people like you anywhere can vote on the website for the top 3 teams. So that's something that'd be really cool if you guys want to talk about, you know, vote for us. Who said that? And the award ceremony will be on June 30th, where hopefully we'll see how that all pans out. So thank you.
So we can vote as many times as we can, right?
I wish. They said only one vote.
Oh, okay.
They already knew how this works. Yep. Yeah.
But y'all are winning is the point here.
Yes.
No,
So, yeah.
thank you so much for coming and being here with us and sharing and updating us. I am very excited about your team, and I'm looking forward to this next year with you all. But I won't take the mic and pass it on to any of the board members who have thoughts, questions. Vice President Braza.
Yes, I was really excited to see you all here today because I really wanted to know what you guys were all working on, and I heard some exciting stuff. Steve, you're an icon here at Tempe Union. You're an asset. We couldn't do a lot, with our students without you, and in terms of motivating the program, it's incredible. I remember when I first got on the board, I went to the competition 2019. I saw you guys, and it was incredible. I got so excited. It was amazing to watch the team do what they do. And, it just really inspired me. And it made me really happy to see all these students really interacting, all of you, really just kind of working together with these broad, very big goals in mind. Hopefully, I'm just wondering, maybe one day you guys can make a video or bring in here to show us, in the future. I remember the robotics team did that in 2019, I asked, and They came and they showed us the robot, and it was the coolest thing. I think what you guys really should understand ultimately is the tool set that you guys now have is a life skill. You can create your own company. You can invent the future. And this is really what we need when we're talking about green technology and global warming and needing solutions that are net carbon negative, not neutral. You know, we need to reverse things. And that's up to you all. And I feel very thankful to have students in the district that are looking at the very big issues and how you guys can all tackle it. Tisha, please let us know how the Dean's List situation, everything turns out. I think that's amazing. I very much would like you to let us know. And Steve, if you guys still have those 2019 mission buttons, I never got one. Otherwise, I want to get another one. I got McClintock and Mount Point, and then I was like, Corona never gave me mine. So I'm like, you know.
We do have 5 extras that we can hand out to our board members.
Awesome. I really want one. I got the other 2, and every time I show people them and talk about the robotics competition, I always say, yeah, and Corona, I don't have theirs, but it's got to be amazing. So.
But did you buy a cap?
Did I buy a cap?
Gotta buy a cap.
I didn't know we had caps. Are there caps? Dr. Mendenhall, we got a budget for those.
Well,
right?
We do have merchandise.
Okay.
We'll get you a link.
Yeah, what's the
Board Member Hodge has.
Incredible, guys, honestly. Wonderful job.
Member Hodge?
Thank you. President Garcia and I came to when you had a pep rally and you guys performed it in 2019. Is that similar to what you're talking about right now? Because when we saw it was the basketball goal, I think, was that part of it, or is that something totally different from what I'm thinking about?
Yeah, that is a little different, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, one of the things that I thought was really cool about our invention was even though the prompt was really broad, we were able to incorporate a lot of robotics in it. So it does have those robotics elements, but I think the thing you're mentioning is our Spirit Bot, which we use. It's a t-shirt cannon that we've created, so it's kind of like a different project that we're working on.
Yeah. You have one also that shot, it was like a ball too. I don't remember what that is, but it was shooting basketball. It was 2019. It was a while ago.
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe, I don't know. But it is different from the Innovation Challenge.
Okay, thank you. But
yes.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Member Montero?
I'll just echo what Vice President Barraza and Member Hodge said. It's really great to hear all of the things that you guys have done, and I haven't had the chance to see it yet in person, so whenever I get that opportunity, I definitely will take it, but I just wanted to say congratulations, and I think you make all of us in this room really, really proud. So congrats.
Thank you. We're working on our prototypes, so hopefully you'll see it soon.
Member James?
Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's really nice to have students in our boardroom again. And Steve, what you do with these students is incredible. And as we come back into the classroom in a more normal year, it's classes like yours that give students a reason to come to school and inspire them and make them feel like something bigger than themselves. And especially when you have goals like what you have all accomplished, and creating something that is useful to help other people. It's just really amazing to see all of these pieces come together and to see what we can offer in Tempe Union. And we are here to support all of you and we're really excited for your next adventures. And congratulations, Madam President.
Thank you.
And I'll just wrap up with thanking Stephen Heiser and Brian Hawkins. Y'all are doing amazing work and really inspiring and empowering so many students, and I'm just excited to see the team continue to grow and develop, and new members coming in, and ones graduating, and seeing them continue on with their aspirations. So, and I'm really excited to see more girls and women in STEM too, because this is a long-term investment in the field. So. Congratulations to you all. I'm super excited for y'all for this next coming year, and we'll definitely see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vanderbilt, do you have any Other comments, thoughts?
Other than I'm so proud of each and every one of you, and first thankful that you have arrived here tonight to share in your own journey of success. But you'll also notice, and I think Mr. Heiser and Mr. Hawkins, I wanted to call you Hawthorne, but I know it's Hawkins, that we have a gift and donation item that I think will continue to benefit in advancing your program. So look for that later on tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
The second item I have for our superintendent's report is our Summer Education Academy. I want to make sure that they're safely out.
Yeah.
With our Summer Education Academy, a graduation, seniors from all of our 7 Tempe Union High Schools will participate in Summer Education Academy graduation services on June 30th. The ceremony takes place in the Marcos Deniza Auditorium starting at 2 p.m. Board members, I know you're going to want to be there, so RSVP directly to the graduation planners. Right now we have 15. That doesn't sound like a lot because it isn't. We were fortunate with our graduation plans that we had 65, though, seniors across the district scattered that had plans where they were able to walk and continue and be successful. Otherwise, we'd have 65 more. So this is good news. So I look forward to Summer Education Academy. That's my superintendent's report. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Now we move to item F for public comment. Dr. Mandeville.
This is the time for public comment. Members of the governing board may not discuss items that are not on the agenda. Therefore, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. All public comment will be heard at this time, whether it concerns a specific item or it concerns a topic that is not on the agenda. At the May 19th governing board meeting, I announced that if the district's benchmark metrics were in the moderate range for community transmission as defined by the Maricopa County Department of Public Health and Center for Disease Control before June 16, today's board meeting, then the Benedict Education Center boardroom would be open to the public during the call to the public only. In accordance with policy BEDH, public participation at governing board meetings, the following limits will apply. If we have 1 to 15 speakers, we will afford them the 3 minutes. 16 to 30 speakers, 2 minutes. 31 or more, 1 minute. It looks like we have a few, but a presentation form must be completed in its entirety and given to the board's executive assistant no later than 7:15. It is now 7:24. Individuals may use the attached presentation form and bring it with them to the meeting. A supply of presentation forms will also be available to members of the public prior to the meeting. Submission of public items are not taken anymore since we're past the 7:15 mark. Documentation or literature a member of the public wishes to give to every board member must accompany the presentation form, and as of right now, I see none. Individuals will be allowed into the governing boardroom 1 at a time to deliver their comments. Masks are required on district property and must be worn when making public comment. Public comment number 1 is from Steve Adams. Mr. Adams? No, we're taking all public comment at this time.
Thank you. I didn't expect to go so soon. Good evening. I'm commenting tonight on the district's proposed budget, specifically in regards to one item, the ADM stipend. Part of my responsibility as TSEA president is to give voice to teachers and other professional staff that wouldn't normally speak up, and I take that responsibility seriously. On June 1st, I sent an email to Dr. Mendeville and the board providing some context to the board's budget recommendation. I hope that everybody had a chance to read that because the details of that email are much too voluminous to read during public comment. Since the budget recommendation was communicated to the board, TSEA has received feedback from employees about the proposed stipend and its dependency on enrollment increases. This particular aspect of the stipend is very unpopular. We originally asked for a stipend using ESSER monies with no strings attached as part of our budget priorities. We felt and still feel that it's important to recognize all the hard work and struggles that employees endured over the last year during the pandemic. Many of our sister districts are doing this, and we wanted Tempe Union to mirror that continuing commitment to its employees' well-being and financial stability. TSEA asserts that there are too many factors that are out of the district's control in regards to increasing ADM, which may make reaching the top end of the goal impossible. They include demographic trends within our boundaries, the lack of affordable housing for families in our community, online competition from public and private charters, out-of-boundary families deciding to stay closer to home because of COVID, just to name a few. Chandler is offering a similar stipend to its employees, but their district is undergoing growth and will be for the next few years, and that's simply not the case in Tempe Union. We agree that promoting a campaign to get students back lost during the pandemic and to recruit new students is a worthy goal, and we are 100% behind this effort. But we don't feel that tying the goal to a stipend for employees is the right way to start out the next school year. TSEA is asking for you to reconsider the ADM requirements for the stipend and deliver this stipend sooner rather than in a year from now, if at all, and recognize the hardships, stress, and extra work our employees endured last year in the ever-shifting instructional landscape brought on by the pandemic. Whatever some people in our community may think, our dedicated teachers and staff worked very hard, harder than ever before, to ensure that students got the best instruction they could given the circumstances. As always, we appreciate being part of the conversation and having a seat at the table when decisions are being made. Yours faithfully, Steve Adams, TSEA President. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Our next public comment is from Rodrigo Palacios.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Mendeville, President Garcia, and members of the board. My name is Rodrigo Palacios. I am the Vice President of TSEA. This past year has been hard for us. This past year has been hard for me personally, but it has also been hard for my closest friends, my colleagues. It's been hard for our district as a whole. It's been hard for our profession. And because of that, I was hoping that our district leadership would understand how important it is to appreciate all of the employee groups in our district and to thank those employee groups, mainly with a retention stipend. Many districts around the valley and the state are doing just that. And I know we don't like to compare ourselves to other districts. So instead, I'm going to focus my attention on what we're doing at Tempe Union. TSEA advocated for a stipend to our staff as a thank you for the hard work that we've had to put in this year. Many teachers taught in multiple modalities for 3/4 of the year or more. The district agreed, but that stipend comes with a catch. Some of it will not be awarded to certified staff in the next month or even in the beginning of this coming school year, but might be awarded in May or June of 2022. And that's only if our ADM moves in a positive direction. This is unfortunate, to put it gently. What we're doing is telling our valued educators that what we went through this year was not enough. Losing close friends and family was not enough. Learning new technology, modalities, and systems was not enough. Working ourselves to exhaustion was not enough. Embracing and focusing on students' mental and emotional health in light of the very real isolation that they felt and that we felt ourselves was not enough. So what is enough? I appreciate the difficult decisions this board has made all year long. I appreciate the difficult decisions this district's leadership has made all year long. And I truly hope you understand how much I appreciate every single one of you in this room. But giving our educators a stipend with conditions is no thank you at all. And with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Our next public comment is from Amanda Steele.
Hello. Hello, Dr. Mendeville, Board President Garcia, board members, and admin. It is great to see you all in person today. I'm Amanda Steele. I am speaking today on behalf of myself and two fellow parents, Jennifer Jarvis and Amy Pedato. First, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here today, for being a leader and a voice for the students, families, teachers, and the community. We would like to request a topic to be added to a future agenda, one that has not been a priority but needs attention. We would also like to be included as stakeholders in this conversation, and even more so, would love a community survey where more families can be a part of the discussion. We would like to know when the last time a needs analysis has been done on the programs at each school for individuals with disabilities, what is currently available, and what is needed to meet student needs in order to provide equity and opportunity for all students with disabilities on all campuses. This should be considered for academics, extracurricular activities, and social emotional learning opportunities. Currently, TUHSD has 2 campuses with a Best Buddy program. This was discussed at the board meeting on May 19th. It was also discussed that we have administration and a board member that actively participates by attending events and being a part of their champion program. We would like to see this on all 7 campuses. We found that in 2016, the Tribune published an article stating that the Tempe Union High School District Governing Board has approved an agreement with Special Olympics of Arizona to field teams with both general education and special education athletes. As a mother to a son who has been in the district since 2014-2015 school year, I know this program was not successfully implemented on all campuses. Seeing today that Mountain Point has the Special Olympics as a listed program on their website currently, knowing this is not accurate information, is quite disappointing. For equity and our students' social emotional wellness, it is crucial for these opportunities to be made available to both students with and without disabilities. With your most recent social emotional policy, now is the time to make these opportunities and options available on all campuses. Coming back from the pandemic, this is more important than ever for these students' social and emotional well-being. Help these students build friendships and connections. Help students without disabilities build leadership roles and skills in communicating with peers that have disabilities. Help foster connections. We rely on you to provide opportunities, and it is imperative that you offer them. We would like a summary of the information discussed on this topic to be shared with us, as well as your findings and a plan of action. Please let us know if we can provide any information to help assist you in seeing these programs be made available to all students across every campus. I would like to ask if I could send this to you guys via email so you guys can have this information, but I wanted it on public comment. So thank you. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
She's next, but I need to see a mask on.
They can see what I'm talking about.
You can provide them to Dr. Wilson, thank you.
I need for it to be up there. I need to see that you've given it to him, please.
When you're done speaking.
Your time is going to be
That's
counted.
fine. I want to see that you're giving it to him.
When you're done speaking.
I'm serving you with a notice about mass testing of COVID. And
Ma'am, you need to identify yourself.
Sherry
Is it
Ryan?
Sherry Ryan?
So I'm just giving you these notices to let you know that I'm putting you all on notice. You have
You're
about-
providing us information.
I'm putting you on notice. that
You're
you're
providing us information. Thank you.
Putting you on notice that you are violating our civil rights, our parent rights, and our constitutional rights. You have about 7 days to read it over and get back to us. If not, we'll all be coming back with affidavits. And then from that point on, we'll go ahead and we'll take it to arbitration if you don't want to follow the affidavit. Okay?
Thank you for the information.
Okay, I just need them to see that they're getting those, please. I need, no, I need to see that they're getting the information.
Thank you for,
I need to see that they're getting the information.
Dr. Wilson, can you hand me the information?
Thank you.
Thank you. You may now exit the boardroom.
Okay, as soon as I see that you guys all have it, then I will exit the boardroom. I'm not here to cause any trouble. I'm not going to do it. I just want to
And
make sure
thank you for
get it.
wearing the mask. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we will continue with the meeting at this time. We have consent agenda items G1 through G23. I move approval of consent agenda items G1 through G23. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have board policies. First one we will address is policy JK, student discipline, for second reading. Dr. Mendeville?
Thank you, President Garcia and Vice President Barraza, members of the board, executive team, and viewing and listening audience. This is a second read for the student discipline second reading, and as you know, we have made some of the edits after our first read, and they are in the form of, can you scroll that a little bit? Board Member Barraza's suggestions, which were duly noted, that we wanted to make sure that we, the student and the student's parents, guardians, family, at the time of any disciplinary action. So the student and the student's family, okay? So we're getting them both. And I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson, because I think we added some additional information that I think would be helpful for the board to have along this process with some of the work that's been done in the last couple months. Dr. Wilson.
Yes, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the governing board, and Dr. Mendeville. So following the first read of this, we took the input of this at the end of paragraph 3, that last sentence. So what will now happen is that at the point of discipline, students will receive their rights in a handout that will be given to them from the administrator who is working with them on discipline. So they will know about, to be told the reasons for any discipline action verbally and in writing, to tell their side of the story before receiving a consequence, and to be given information about appealing disciplinary actions. And following that has information about due process, course assignments, things that they're entitled to with staying on track in their classes, and decisions regarding discipline, and then notice regarding discipline that comes from our policy. So now this will be included with the other paperwork that they receive at the point of discipline.
All right, thank you both so much. Board members, any thoughts or comments or questions on this item? Vice President Barraza?
I really appreciate, first off, the district and first just listening to my story and, you know, why it was concerning to me and how more or less less concerning, but more how I think we can elevate our philosophical mindset of, you know, restorative practices and just looking at our policies. As a student that was always in trouble, this, I don't know if it would have helped me or not because, you know, like it's hard to say at that age, but I think it can start a lot of the conversations, you know, on both sides. And plus, as we grow our model of how we approach students in terms of, you know, discipline or, you know, like academics, this to me is just one of those components that I think will be valuable as we grow programs, you know, or ways that students can, where we're approaching discipline, we can say, you know, this is available to you, or, you know, counselors services, or, you know, so other programs in the future, because I know that you all are tackling that, and I really appreciate that. So this is more or less that need, I feel like. It will help to be able to reiterate what is available to them, then more of a due process, you know, aspect is really what I wanted to try and convey. And I know that can be a little difficult, but thank you. I really greatly appreciate the board's input on this. Prior to being on the board, Montero and I, we've talked about discipline, and I think this was really a big part of inspired by you and, you know, like in our conversations. And so I really, you know, appreciate that. You know, it's great that we were able to have those conversations and now to see you on the board, you know, and so I really appreciate everyone's input. And this is just something I just felt like we can just adjust without any major traction, just to give us a little more ground for those conversations in the future. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice President Barraza, and we're really proud for you raising these issues and bringing it to the board. Member Hodge?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was just going to say thank you for raising it and continue to raise it until we actually got it in policy. So thank you so much, Vice President Barraza. I am having a day with pronouncing people's names. I apologize. So it is, and when it comes to students, a lot, especially when it's a lot of minority students, they always felt a little bit isolated. So thank you so much for keep pushing, and I know you'll always be that voice to continue. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. All right, with that, I move approval of policy JK. May I have a second?
Mr. President, I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy JL, local wellness policy. Who would like to take this, Member Montero or Dr. Mendeville?
I'll frame it, and we'll do it together, right? Okay. This is the second read for local wellness policy, and based on the first reading, there didn't appear to be any changes, recommendations to the actual policy, where I think there's more, well, not more, but the two key areas for recommendation and an edit was in JLB, which we'll be discussing next. I just want to again commend Armando and the ad hoc committee with their detailed support and their input on you know, creating this really thoughtful policy, and it really supports the social emotional wellness and prioritizes what we need to be doing and want to do and strive to do better on behalf of our students and one another. So kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, board members, any thoughts, questions on this item? Hearing it? No? Oh. Okay, all right, then I move. Yes?
Just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work again. I think it's really well presented.
All right, then we'll continue on. So I move approval of policy JL. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy JLB, student mental health and social emotional wellness.
I can take it this time.
You take that one, and I'll add if I think there needs to be a, okay.
Well, thank you, President Garcia. So as we discussed last week during our special meeting, this was the bulk of the work that we did as the ad hoc committee in getting a specific policy, a standalone policy specific to student mental health and social emotional wellness. So a lot of the details we detailed in that presentation, had some discussion on, and based on some of the discussion we had, we did change a few things specific to the staff professional development, which I know Ms. Hodge brought up, and making sure that we have that inclusive language, to making sure that we're recognizing the unique challenges that all of our students face, no matter what their backgrounds might be. And similar, later down the policy, we addressed Vice President Barraza's point on the lowering the flags. We removed that from the policy. But I can take any other questions if there is any.
All right. Any thoughts, questions? No? All right. Vice President Barraza?
Yes, just wanted to, maybe you can highlight those changes in terms of the staff portion. I mean, like verbally, if you can give us kind of like, well, I guess, I know we changed it, and not in terms of the flags, I'm sorry, and we have right up the memorial plans, more or less staff, the language, maybe it's more pertaining to Board Member Burdetta. Burdetta Hodge, I'm sorry. Board Member Burdetta Hodge.
Is this section?
That's correct, yes. Elevated risk, I mean, is it, do we feel it's encompassing is ultimately what I'm wanting to know, while we move forward?
Well, yeah, I'd refer that to Ms. Hodge to make sure we address the concern as well. But, and I also just wanted to add that, throughout both JL and JLB, we do, multiple times throughout the policy, make sure that we are addressing the needs of all of our students, and we do have the specific section on cultural proficiency and recognizing that as a district that we're focusing on all of our students. But specific to this section we did, it's highlighted up there right now, making sure that we're including information regarding all of our students at an elevated risk, and still recognizing those unique historical challenges as well. We kept that in the policy.
And to note, if I may, Board Member Hodges' concern about all groups, and that's why that all specifically is there. And we really mean all when we say all. But it's also it's important to keep the statistically correct information around our foster care kids, group home kids, our native, all of that. So I think it's a good balanced read. So.
Well, this is a great, policy. I'm excited about it, and really, I'm just more or less excited to see what the district, builds off of it. It's incredible. Please convey to the committee again how amazing and remarkable this is. And the input changes, I think it's representative of what kind of board we have, a very diverse board with a lot of backgrounds. Thank you, Board Member Hodge, for your insights. Thank you, Board Member Montero, for, tackling this. It's a very daunting policy, and so I appreciate all the hard work everyone has done. So.
Thank you so much, Vice President Barraza. Thank you to everyone who worked on this. Thank you to the committee and Member Montero. Long time coming. So really, really excited about this. So would you like to do the honors, Member Montero?
Can I say something?
Oh, Member Hodge.
Oh, I just wanted to, because I wanted to address what you said. You definitely covered everything that I was that I was looking at. Thank you so much for going back and doing that. Also, wanted to say in public, got a few emails from some of the people who actually sat on the committee, and they were saying how wonderful you handled the committee. You allowed them to speak. You did not overshadow them. You were more of a timekeeper. They really bought into this. So just wanted that to be in public knowledge that I got that information, so thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Member Hodge.
Yeah, before I do so, again, just kind of echoing some of what I said last meeting, I want to thank every single person that was involved with making this a reality, from, first drafting the resolution back in March to where we are now. It really has been a long time coming. And like I said previously, Donald and Mr. Denny and I spent a lot of time really looking around the state and even school districts across the country, and we really didn't find anything to this magnitude on social emotional wellness and mental health. So, I think what we're doing tonight it could really set the way for a lot of school districts in the state. And I hope that follows through, and it really shows our commitment as a district, to all of our students, and really focusing on the whole student and making sure that all of their needs are met. So again, I can't thank everyone who is a part of that enough. And with that, I move that the board approve policy JLB, student mental health and social emotional wellness.
I second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. All right, next we have business services. Board members, would you like to take this I1 through I6?
Yes, can we take it as all together?
Yes, we can. Yes. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve business services I1 through I6, Mr. President.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next we have human resources. Dr. Mendenville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Garcia, and board members. This is our annual. We take the salary schedules for all of our employee groups, and with your approval, we can begin sending out contracts and all sorts of good stuff. And start all the work of human resources continues. They get no break. So that's what these are. And there's nothing since it within the budget. There was approved step movement. And so that happens on our current salary schedule structure. So these will just roll over to the 21-22 school year. Dr. Keller, do you want to comment on that at all, since this is your item?
Only to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Keller. I really appreciate it. All right, board members, any questions, thoughts, concerns on this item? No? All right. Then I move approval for item J1. May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Next, we have new business, Superintendent's second semester goal, fiscal year 2020-21. Dr. Mendenville.
Well, based on the study session and your insightful questions and thoughtfulness, I'm asking that you approve my second goal so I can execute it.
All right. Board members, any questions, concerns? Seeing none, hearing none. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve item K, new business, superintendent's second semester goals.
Thank you so much. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have informational items for financial report through June 9th. Board members, this is informational only. So next we'll go on to communications from governing board members. So we'll start off with Member Hodge.
Okay, well, mine is just around Juneteenth and also LGBTQ month. I don't think I recognized it last time around, so I wanted to say something this time. And I was actually at the City of Tempe's Disability Awards Assembly. Tempe High School got 6 awards, and they got 2 from last time. So 8 awards from Tempe High School alone. They were recognized, and a lot of them are going to college. A few of them came back for the awards, and we actually have one that's going all the way to Michigan to go to college in August. So exciting news. So just proud to be there to hear them represent them on that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Member Montero?
I don't have too much tonight, but I also first wanted to recognize Juneteenth and thank Board Member Hodge for your words at the beginning of the meeting today. It's definitely very important that we recognize and also want to recognize that it is Pride Month and making sure, I know we have a board that is very supportive of all of our students and making sure that we meet the needs and recognize all the unique challenges that our students go through. But to those listening out there tonight, all of us up here and all of us in this room support you, love you, and we are here for you for whatever you need. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Member Montero. Member James?
I will echo those sentiments. When it comes to Juneteenth, I am so happy that my own children know what it is, know what it's about, because growing up I did not have that education. And I appreciate that we're making strides, and I look forward to seeing more strides in that area, because knowledge is power. And So happy Juneteenth, everyone, and happy Pride Month. And thank you for those words, Board Member Montero. It was perfectly said. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member James. Vice President Barraza.
Yes, just to really just echo everything that the other board members have mentioned. You know, it's important that we highlight Pride Month and we highlight Juneteenth. You know, I'm one of those people that didn't know until I was an adult. I think it was 23. You know, it's not secret. I was a school-to-prison pipeline student, and it wasn't until I was actually in prison and they celebrated it then, you know, that I understood what it was. And I couldn't believe that being incarcerated and, you know, we celebrate the holiday, but I've never done so, you know, out in civilization. So I think it's amazing that the Senate approved Juneteenth as a national holiday. I think it helps to grow awareness, and it's an important day, you know, and so today it's wonderful that they approved that, so that's all I wanted to say. It's great to see everyone, and it's wonderful that we're starting to phase in public comments again. I think it gets us back to that normalcy aspect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice President Barraza. Echoing my fellow board members, happy Juneteenth, happy to celebrate and appreciate and grateful for Member Hodge and her comments opening up and starting our meeting and to recognizing Juneteenth. Always going to say happy Pride because we got to celebrate too. And then just want to congratulate Board Member Montero and Vice President Barraza on their policy work. I think we tend to forget how much time and effort goes into these issues too, and working with the district and thanking the district for their time because it is restricted and we only have so much time in the day. So thank you all for what you do. But truly recognizing, especially because this is an unpaid position and the amount of time and investment that goes into it for our entire board. So thank you. And I just wanted to recognize our Corona Robotics team and grateful that they were able to come in and talk with us today and give us an update. So looking forward more from them. At this time, that is all I have. Dr. Mendeville, any updates from you or the executive team?
Only that I do provide you with water and an occasional writing instrument, so those are some of the French benefits.
I brought my bone pen today. Thank you so much, Dr. Mendeville. All right, our next regular meeting is July 14th. May I have, actually, I'll move to adjourn. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.